Hello, ladies and gentlemen of geometry. This is 6-3 talking about special right triangles, and that is exactly what it sounds like. You're looking at very, very specific right triangles. So right triangles are still going to have a 90 degrees, but they're going to be very, very specific in kind of what they do. So let's take a look at kind of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90. Please note that both of those do add up to 180, so they are in fact triangles. But what we're looking at is kind of what is unique about these two. So starting off, let's look at kind of what we're dealing with here. Find the sides of a square. You can use Pythagorean theorem. So taking a look at a diagonal, which is what that is, this side and the hypotenuse are all going to have a relationship, okay? The square is 4 90-degree angles, but if I have a diagonal, that means that is going to be 45, and that is going to be 45. So if I use Pythagorean theorem, let's just start out simple. Let's just say like both sides are 2. All right, so according to Pythagorean theorem, to figure out my diagonal, that's going to be 2 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. So that's going to be 4 plus 4 equals c squared, and so that's going to be 8. So if I take the square root of that, so simplify it, so that's going to be square root of 4, square root of 2, square root of 4 is, of course, 2. So it's going to be 2 square root of 2. So this, my hypotenuse, is going to be 2 square root of 2. So now let's take a look at, what if it wasn't 2? What if it was something else? What if it was 3? Whoa, oops. I don't want to highlight. I want to write. That's 3, and this is 3. Well, that'd be 3 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. So that'll be 9 plus 9 equals c squared. So if I square root that, that's going to be the square root of 18. Simplified, that'll be square root of 9 square root of 2. So that's going to be 3 square root of 2. So the pattern here is this, is that the relationship between side, and diagonal is going to be x square root of 2. Two of the sides are going to be the same, the two legs are going to be the same, and the hypotenuse is going to be whatever the leg is times square root of 2. So if my side lengths were 5, my hypotenuse would be 5 square root of 2. If it was 10, it'd be 10 square root of 2, and so on. So 45, 45, 90, if given the legs to find the hypotenuse, what I want to do is multiply by the square root of 2. Okay, so, if my leg is 3, all I would do is multiply by the square root of 2. That would be my hypotenuse. Okay, if given the hypotenuse to find the legs, here's what I've got to do. I've actually has to divide by square root of 2. But that means that's going to also involve rationalizing the denominator. So I've got to rationalize the denominator. So make sure that's a part of it. So let me tell you what I'm talking about here. So my hypotenuse is 12. These two are the same. So here's kind of what it's like. My ratio of every 45, 45, 90 triangle is this. All right, I know 12. So that's equal. So I'm going to take x square root of 12 and set it equal to 12. So now I'm solving for x just like a regular algebra problem, except this is going to be the x I'm looking for. I'm looking for an actual side. So I divide by square root of 2. So x equals, I cannot leave a square root in the denominator, so I multiply by 1, which is same on top, same on bottom. So I'm going to get this, which is going to be 12 square root of 2 over 2, which is going to be 6 square root of 2. So that means each one of these legs is going to be 6 square root of 2, 6 square root of 2. All right, so figuring out the value of x. For letter B here, this one's not too bad because I have a side length that is 4, so that's going to be x. That means this other one is 4. Then to figure out my hypotenuse, all I'm going to do is take 4 times square root of 2. That's my answer. All right, for letter C, my hypotenuse as 5 square root of 2. Now look what happens here. So if I set 5 square root of 2 equal to 5 square root of 2, I want to divide by square root of 2 because this cancels out. But look over here, this cancels out as well. So x is going to equal 5. So there's my answer. So find the height of this equilateral triangle. So the equilateral triangle means all three sides are congruent. So what I'm looking for is this. So in an equilateral triangle, every single angle is 60. So it goes 60, 60. But now since I split this, that means that's 30 and that's 30. So I got 30, 60, 90 triangle. So what you want to look at is this. So I'm just going to kind of say it this way. If this is 4, this is going to be 2. So if I've got a right triangle where my hypotenuse is 4, one side is 2, I got to figure out this third side. So it's going to be 4 squared equals 2 squared plus b squared. So that's 16 equals 4 plus b squared. So b squared is going to be equal to 12. So when I square root that, this becomes 2 square root of 3 when I simplify it. I broke apart 12, got this. You guys should be familiar with how to simplify a square root. So the long story short is this, is that for this one, my ratio, I'm going to have a short, I'm going to have a middle, and I'm going to have my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is always hypotenuse. The ratio goes like this. Oops. Sorry, wrote that wrong. The ratio goes like this. The short side is always going to be half the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always going to be double the short side. The middle is going to be the short side times the square root of 3. Every single 30, 60, 90 triangle is have that. All right, so if you're given the hypotenuse, so you're given my hypotenuse x to find the long leg, you're going to divide by 2 and multiply by square root of 3. If given the short leg to find the hypotenuse, you're going to multiply by 2. If given the short leg to find the long leg, you're going to multiply by square root of 3. If given the long leg to find the short leg, you need to divide by square root of 3. That again, that's going to involve some rationalization. That means get rid of the square root in the denominator. Okay, given the long leg, find the hypotenuse, you've got to divide by square root of 3 and then multiply by 2. Given the hypotenuse, find the short leg, you're going to just divide by 2. Keep this page handy for yourself. All right, so my ratio is always going to be short side, middle side, long side. There's my answer. All right, so figuring out the values here. So 60 is my middle side, 30 is my short side, y is my hypotenuse. So if I look, my middle side is what I've got. So x square root of 3 equals 12. So to solve, I want to get rid of that square root of 3. Now, I've got to rationalize this side. So that's going to be x equals 12 square root of 3. Then on the bottom, that becomes 3. So that simplified becomes 4 square root of 3. 12 over 3 becomes 4. So now this becomes the short side. So 4 square root of 3 is my short side. So x equals 4 square root of 3. Y then is going to be equal to double that. So 4 square root of 3 times 2 is just going to be 8 square root of 3. So that's what y is going to equal. So here my hypotenuse is 10. It's across from the 90 degree. That's the long side. It's going to be 10. So this becomes easy. So 2x equals 10. So that means x is going to equal 5. Just divide by 2. So that means my short side is 5. So the middle side, you just multiply by square root of 3. So I'm going to take 5 times square root of 3. That's going to be what y is. Now, looking here for C, C's got a couple parts to it. So now, let's take a look. So if I want this length right here, this x, well, my hypotenuse is 2 square root of 3. So 2 square root of 3 is my 2x. If I divide by 2, x equals square root of 3. So short side is square root of 3. That's x. Now to figure out this one, I got to figure out here, my middle side. So to get that middle side, this should be my short side, so that means this should be square root of 3. My middle side is going to be what happens when I multiply it times square root of 3. So I want square root of 3 times square root of 3, so that's going to be just 3. So x is going to be just 3. Okay, x is going to be 3. So that makes this side square root of 3. So from this triangle, the perspective of this triangle down here, here's what I've got. Let me redraw just this triangle. So here's my 60-degree angle, and this is saying this is just square root of 3. There's 30. This is 90. There's 30. So this is saying x square root of 3 equals square root of 3. So that means if I divide by square root of 3, x equals 1. So that means my short side is 1, my long side is 2. They want the short side over here, so my short side is just going to be 1. Tough problem, but a lot of pieces to it. But you got to keep this basic simple thing straight, and that is x square root of 3 to x. That is your 30, 60, 90 triangle. All right, that's all I got. Come talk to me with questions. Keep this straight. Write your ratios on your assignments.